Everything seemed normal that morning. May put on her favorite gray cardigan, the one her late husband used to call her lucky charm, and headed to her daughter's house. The smell of rain lingered in the air as she parked in front of a neat suburban home. Wind chimes sang softly on the porch. She smiled, another quiet weekend with her family, or so she thought. The door opened before she could knock. Her grandson, Caleb, came running and wrapped his small arms around her waist. "Grandma, you came early." May laughed, brushing a strand of his hair aside. "Of course, sweetheart. I wanted to surprise you." But Caleb's eyes didn't light up like they usually did. Instead, he looked around nervously, then whispered, "Grandma, don't go back home today." May froze, half expecting him to laugh or explain it was part of some game. "What do you mean, honey?" she asked softly. Caleb's lips trembled. He leaned close and whispered in her ear, "Mom said not to tell, but I heard her on the phone. She said someone's coming to your house tonight." The world seemed to pause. "Someone," she repeated. "Who?" Caleb shook his head. "I don't know, but she said it's better if you're gone." May's heartbeat quickened. Her daughter, Rachel, was usually so caring, so protective. Why would she say something like that? "Maybe you misunderstood Caleb," she said, forcing a smile. "Sometimes adults talk about things that sound strange." But the boy's eyes were wide with fear. "I didn't misunderstand, Grandma." She was crying when she said it. The rest of the day passed in uneasy quiet. Rachel came downstairs cheerful as always, pretending everything was fine, offering tea, chatting about Caleb's school, and avoiding eye contact. But May noticed things. She always did. There was a new lock on the basement door. The family photos on the wall had been rearranged. Her late husband's picture was gone, and Rachel's phone never left her hand. Every few minutes, she'd sneak into another room to whisper into it. May pretended not to see, but her mind was racing. At sunset, she told Rachel she was heading home early. Her daughter's reaction was instant. "Home? Tonight?" Rachel's voice cracked slightly. "Why don't you stay over, Mom? It's late." May tilted her head. "You've never worried about me driving before." Rachel forced a smile. "Just stay, please. Caleb would love it." Caleb, however, shook his head almost imperceptibly. May caught it, and her stomach tightened. "I'll be fine," May said calmly, grabbing her purse. "I left the porch light on anyway." Rachel opened her mouth to protest again, then stopped. "All right," she said softly, eyes downcast. "Just call me when you reach." The drive home was quiet but tense. Every streetlight seemed dimmer than usual. The rain had started again, a fine mist blurring the windshield. As May turned onto her narrow lane, she noticed something odd. Her porch light, the one she'd mentioned to Rachel, was off. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel. She distinctly remembered turning it on before she left. She parked a few houses down instead of pulling into the driveway. The house stood silent, dark, except for a faint glow flickering through the curtains. Candlelight? That made no sense. She pulled out her phone and texted Rachel. "Just reached. Why is the porch light off?" No reply. Seconds later, her phone buzzed, but it wasn't Rachel. A message from an unknown number appeared. "Go back to your daughters. Now." May's breath caught. She looked around. The street was empty. The rain hissed softly on the pavement. She typed back quickly. "Who is this?" No answer. Another text arrived, this time from Rachel. "Mom, everything okay?" May hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. She replied, "Yes. Just got home. Everything's fine." She didn't believe her own words. Unlocking the door, she stepped inside. The air smelled strang, like burnt plastic mixed with perfume. A faint hum came from the living room. She turned on the lights, but nothing happened. Power outage? Unlikely. Her neighbor's lights were on. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she reached for her phone's flashlight. The beam sliced through the darkness, revealing something that made her freeze. The carpet was slightly wet, muddy footprints, leading from the back door to the hallway. May whispered under her breath, "Oh my God." She quietly stepped back and reached for her purse, but a soft creak echoed upstairs. Someone was in the house. She turned off her phone light instantly, heart hammering, and crouched near the wall. Another step. Then another.
Slow. Heavy.
Her mind flashed to Caleb's words. Don't go back home. May edged toward the kitchen. She remembered the small knife drawer near the counter. But halfway there, she heard the sound of breathing, not her own. Then a voice. A man's. Low, calm, terrifyingly casual. She's here. Just like you said. May's blood ran cold. For a moment, she couldn't move. Couldn't even think.
Who was he talking to?
Rachel? The sound of footsteps descended the stairs. May ducked behind the counter, clutching the edge to keep her balance. The man's shoes appeared, muddy, large, military style. His silhouette passed through the dim hallway light. Don't make this harder, the voice said. We just need her to sign the papers. Papers? What papers? May bit her lip to stop herself from gasping. The man pulled out a phone. She's not in the car and the lights are off. You sure she came back?
Pause.
Then, yeah, I'll check the kitchen. May scanned her surroundings. The window by the sink was slightly open, her only chance. The moment the footsteps moved closer, she dashed toward it, shoved it wider, and slipped outside into the rain. Her knees scraped against the wet ground, but she didn't stop. She ran, barefoot, gasping, her heart pounding louder than the storm. Behind her, she heard the door slam open. She's outside. Get her. May didn't look back. She reached the neighbor's yard, ducked behind a bush, and tried to steady her breathing. Rainwater dripped from her hair. She could see her house through the leaves, two shadows moving inside, searching. Her phone buzzed again. A new text. Mom, where are you? This time, Rachel's message felt wrong. May typed back, hands trembling. Why is someone in my house? No reply. She tried calling. Straight to voicemail. Another message came instead, from the same unknown number as before. May, if you want to live, don't trust her. Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream, cry, demand answers, but she couldn't risk being heard. She stayed hidden for nearly an hour, watching. The lights in her house flickered, then went dark completely. Finally, the two figures exited, got into a dark SUV, and drove away. May waited until silence settled again. Then, slowly, she crept out of the bushes and walked toward the road. Every step felt heavier than the last. She knew she couldn't go to the police yet, not without proof, not when she didn't even understand what was happening. But one thing was certain. Her daughter was hiding something. And whatever it was worth killing for. She reached a small 24-hour diner by the gas station, soaked to the bone. The waitress glanced at her with concern. You okay, ma'am? May nodded shakily. Just coffee, please. As she sat there under the flickering lights, she opened her phone again. The last message stared back at her. Don't trust her. And beneath it, a new one appeared. No sender name, no number. Just words. They're coming again at dawn. May's hand trembled as she lifted her coffee cup. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. She didn't know who to believe anymore, her daughter, her grandson, or the stranger warning her from the shadows. But she knew one thing. Going home had nearly gotten her killed. And now she needed to find out why. May didn't sleep that night. She sat in the corner booth of the diner, clutching her coffee like a lifeline. Every few minutes, she'd glance out the rain-streaked window, half expecting headlights to appear. Her mind raced. Why would Rachel want her to sign papers? Who were those men in her house? And why was a stranger warning her from an untraceable number? By dawn, her fear had hardened into determination. She couldn't run forever. She had to know the truth. She dialed a number she hadn't called in years. Detective Henry Clark, her late husband's friend. Henry, it's May. A pause. It's been ages. You sound shaken. What's going on? I think someone tried to break into my house, she whispered. And my daughter might be involved. Henry's tone sharpened. Where are you? She gave him the diner's location. Within half an hour, a tall, weathered man in a brown coat walked through the door, scanning the room until his eyes met hers. "May," he said quietly, sliding into the booth. "Start from the beginning." She told him everything: Caleb's warning, the strange messages, the footprints, the man's voice. Henry took notes, his brow furrowed deeper with every detail. When she finished, he exhaled slowly. "Do you still have that message?" "The one from the unknown number." May nodded and showed him her phone. He took a picture of the screen. "I'll trace this," he said. "But something about this feels off. If Rachel's really involved, we need to be careful." May's eyes filled with tears. "Henry, she's my daughter. There must be an explanation." Henry looked at her gently. "Maybe. But until we know for sure, you stay somewhere safe. I'll check your house." May hesitated. "I can't just hide." "You can and you will," he said firmly. "Whatever's happening, they wanted you alone. Don't give them that chance again." By afternoon, Henry called her from the house.
His voice was grim.
The place was ransacked. Papers everywhere, legal documents, property deeds. "Me. Did you recently refinance your house?" She frowned.
"No.
"I haven't touched anything since my husband passed." Henry sighed. "Then someone forged your signature. Looks like someone's been trying to transfer ownership." May's heart dropped. "Rachel's name is on those papers, isn't it?" A pause.
"Yeah."
"But that doesn't mean she knew. Could be someone using her." May bit her lip. "No, Henry. Caleb said she was crying when she mentioned someone coming to my house. She knew." Henry's silence confirmed what she feared. That night, May booked a small motel near the edge of town. She couldn't stop replaying the moment Rachel hugged her at the door, the way her hands trembled, the forced smile. Maybe Rachel had gotten involved with the wrong people. Maybe she was being threatened too. At 2 a.m., her phone buzzed again. Another text from the unknown number. "May, she's in danger too. Don't hate her. Meet me tomorrow, 5 p.m., near Brookside Bridge. I'll explain everything." May stared at the screen, torn. Was it a trap, or the only chance to get answers? She typed back.
"Who are you?"
No response. She barely slept. At sunset the next day, May stood under the rusted metal arch of Brookside Bridge. Cars rushed by above, their headlights cutting through the fog. The river below glimmered faintly in the dying light. A man stepped out from the shadows. Mid-30s, raincoat, eyes darting nervously. "You came," he said. May tensed. "Who are you?" "My name's Lucas," he said quietly. "I worked for your daughter. At her real estate firm." May's stomach tightened. "Rachel doesn't own a firm." "She does now," Lucas said bitterly. "Or she did, until the people funding it decided they wanted more than just houses. They wanted yours." He glanced around, then continued in a whisper. "Rachel took a loan she couldn't pay back. They threatened her, and Caleb. That's why she told you to stay away. They wanted your property for a hidden reason. Something buried beneath it." May blinked. "Buried?" Lucas nodded. "Old land records show a sealed storage chamber under your property line, part of an abandoned military supply route. There's talk it still holds valuable tech components, the kind people would kill for." May felt dizzy. "You're saying my house sits on top of what? Stolen equipment?" "Something like that," Lucas said. "Rachel didn't know at first. But once she found out, she tried to back out of the deal. That's when they sent the men you saw." May's breath caught. "And now?" "They'll come again," he said. "They think you're hiding something that proves the land belongs to you. Maybe your husband left papers. Find them before they do." Before May could respond, a sharp noise echoed, tires screeching nearby. Headlights flared across the bridge. Lucas's eyes widened. "They found us. Run." May sprinted toward the woods, her lungs burning. Bullets cracked through the air, striking metal and stone. Lucas yelled behind her. "Go. Don't stop." She stumbled down a slope, crashing through wet leaves until she hit the ground hard. When she looked back, Lucas was gone. The sound of engines faded into the night. Her phone buzzed again, another message, this time from Rachel.
"Mom, I'm sorry."
"Please meet me. I can explain." May's fingers trembled as she typed. Where are you? At the old cabin near the lake.
Come alone.
May hesitated, then glanced around the dark forest. She had nowhere else to go. The cabin was one her husband had built decades ago, a place they used to escape to in the summers. She hadn't been there in years. When she arrived, the door was slightly open, light flickering inside. Rachel. May called softly. Her daughter stepped out of the shadows, eyes red from crying. Mom. May stared at her. Why, Rachel? Why didn't you just tell me? Rachel broke down. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. They said they'd hurt Caleb if I didn't cooperate. I thought if you signed the transfer, they'd leave us alone. May's heart ached. You should have come to me. I tried, Rachel whispered. That night, when I told you to stay, I wanted to protect you. But they were listening. There are microphones in my house, Mom. They hear everything. May stepped forward and hugged her trembling daughter. We'll fix this. Together. But before Rachel could reply, a beam of light cut through the window. A man's voice barked. Inside. Both of them. May pulled Rachel down behind the couch as gunfire shattered the glass. They crawled toward the back door, hearts racing. Outside, two men in dark clothing were approaching fast. May grabbed a heavy flashlight and swung it at one man's face as he entered. He fell backward with a groan. Rachel grabbed Caleb's old baseball bat from the wall and swung wildly at the second. They bolted into the night, rain pouring down, tires squealing somewhere behind them. They ran until May's legs gave out. The woods were endless, black and silent except for their ragged breathing. Finally, Rachel spoke through tears. Mom, there's something I didn't tell you.
May looked up, exhausted. What?
Rachel pulled out a small metal box from her coat. Dad left this with the original house papers. I think this is what they're after. May opened it. Inside lay a faded letter, a map, and an old key. The letter read, If you're reading this, it means the wrong people discovered the cache. The key opens the vault under the cellar. Destroy everything inside before they find it. Thomas. May's husband. She felt the world tilt. He knew. Rachel nodded weakly. He worked for the military years ago. He told me once that some projects were buried and forgotten. I didn't understand until now. May stared at the key. Then we finished what he started. By dawn, they reached the house again. It was eerily silent. Henry's car was parked outside. May rushed in and found him standing by the open cellar door, flashlight in hand. Me, he said, relieved. You're alive. I traced the number. It was Lucas. He worked undercover with me. He was helping us expose the buyers. May froze. Lucas is dead. Henry's face darkened. Then we're running out of time. They descended into the cellar. Behind a false wall, they found a locked hatch. May inserted the old key. It clicked open. Inside was a metal container marked restricted. Henry lifted the lid. Inside were sealed drives, blueprints, and encrypted files stamped with military insignia. He whistled softly. This is what they wanted. Rachel stepped forward. Then let's destroy it. Henry nodded. Agreed. He poured gasoline from a nearby canister and struck a match. The flames roared to life, consuming the papers, the drives, the secrets. But as they turned to leave, the back door slammed open upstairs. Voices shouted. They're here. Rachel cried. Henry drew his gun. Get to the car now. May and Rachel ran through the smoke-filled kitchen, dodging debris as bullets shattered windows. Henry fired back, covering them until they reached the front yard. Suddenly, the house exploded behind them, an orange fireball lighting the morning sky. The shockwave threw them to the ground. When May lifted her head, the house was gone, just ashes and smoke. Hours later, police swarmed the site. Henry stood beside May, both wrapped in blankets. It's over, he said quietly. They won't find anything now. May looked at the rising smoke. I lost everything. Henry shook his head.
No.
You kept your family safe. That's everything. Rachel approached, eyes swollen but determined. Mom, I'll fix what I did. I'll tell them everything. I'm done running. May took her hand. We'll do it together. Weeks later, May stood before the rebuilt foundation of her home. The wind carried the scent of new beginnings. Caleb ran up the path, laughing, free from the fear that had shadowed their days. "Grandma," he said, hugging her tightly, "are we safe now?" She smiled faintly. "Yes, sweetheart, we are." But as she turned toward the car, her phone buzzed one last time. No number. No name. Some things don't burn, May. She looked back at the ashes behind her, and for the first time, she wasn't sure if the nightmare was truly over.